A Course of Love, Book 3, 40 Days and 40 Nights, Day 13. Union with the Spacious Self. Once the One Self became form and knew itself, it knew separate thought. The separate thoughts of the One Self rather than the form of the One Self allowed for the knowing of the Self that created the many selves. The many selves who have come and gone since the beginning of time now know themselves as the many and the one, the individual and the collective. This is the knowing in relationship that is available to you now. The One Self of form is the self you were born into. The One Self of form comes to know the One Self through relationship with other selves, experiencing oneness through being selves of form. You are thus not meant to lose the experience of the self of form, but to integrate it so that you are both the many and the one. The oneness that your individual self represents in this life is the oneness of the Holy One, who is both one, somewhat in the way you think of the individual self, and all. The love that is found in the relationships of the One Self with the many is the love of God. There is no other love. God's love is constantly being given, received and felt in relationship. God's love is your love. Your love is the love of God. God is love. Thus is explained the relationships and the forms emptied of love. Where there is no love, there is no God present. Where there is no love, there is a lack of godliness, or what you have defined as evil. A complete lack of love creates formidable obstacles, or in other words, obstacles of solid form that contain no spaciousness. Solid form is actually a void, a substance devoid of spaciousness, a form that is form only. These forms are still encompassed by the loving space of Christ consciousness and thus are easily rendered ineffective. Imagine the spacious self as an invisible self, a self whose form is transparent. Through this transparency, the reality of this one self, being also the many, or the all, is apparent. The spaciousness of love, the lovely complexity of form, the awesome majesty of nature, all are visible within the One Self because of the invisibility of the one boundaryless self of form. This self is everything and everyone. Because it is everything and everyone, it is also the self of the void of the loveless self. As long as the void of the loveless self exists within the spacious self, they exist in harmony. It is only in attempting to eject the loveless self from the spacious self that disharmony occurs. Thus holding the loveless self within the spacious self of love is the answer to the question of evil and final lifting of the last veils of fear. The same is true of all you would fear, such as the suffering self. A suffering self held within the spacious self exists in harmony with the spacious self. Attempting to eject the self of suffering from the spacious self created disharmony. It is only by this holding within that the loveless self and the suffering self are rendered ineffective. It is only in this way that you realize that all exists within. It is only in this way that you become completely fearless and totally spacious. For fear is part of the density of form, being a lack of love. Once fear is gone, true relationship is not only possible but inevitable. True relationship exists naturally in the state of harmony that is the spacious self. This is the state of union.